Hey Adventurers, so today is going to be another book haul. I haven't quite decided what adjective I'm going to use to describe this book haul yet, but I will find one and put it in the title. Anyways, this is a long time coming. Some of these books are from my birthday, and basically these are all the books that I have bought or received since the last time I had a book haul, which was in the middle of March, I think. This one includes some of the ones that I got for my birthday, which was after that birthday book haul, which was the birthday of the channel, not the birthday of me. Anyways, that's unimportant. Basically, this is from the books that I've gotten since the middle of March. And we'll continue on. Most people have probably already clicked off by now or skipped because they don't care, and so we'll just get right into the books that I've actually been reading. The books that I have received. First one is The Fall of Numenor by J.R. Tolkien, edited by Brian Sibley, so obviously with illustrations by Alan Lee. This is another Tolkien book. Of course I had to get it. This is one that was published this year, I want to say. Either this year or late last year, I can't remember. But I'm very excited for this because it's a Tolkien book and I love Tolkien and I love books, so kind of perfect. Anyways, Fall of Numenor, important storyline for the world of Middle-earth. And I haven't read this. I don't know what it's gonna be about beyond The Fall of Numenor. I don't know if this is a narrative style book or just a information notes, compilation of notes type book. I don't know. We'll see when I eventually get to it. Next one I bought, What If by Randall Munroe. So this is serious scientific answers to absurd hypothetical questions, and this is just my type of trivia books, so you have what would happen if you were to gather a mole, the unit of measurement of moles, this small furry critter, in one place, and just a scientific question or a scientific answer to that type of question. There's all sorts of things in here. I've read a couple of them. I haven't read all of it. What would happen if the Earth and all terrestrial objects suddenly stopped spinning, but the atmosphere retained its velocity? It's just trivia. It's information that I like. Not the type of book I'll sit down and read cover to cover though, but just fun for me type thing. Let's see. Then I went on a trip to North Dakota and I got McTeague by Frank Norris. I don't know what drew me to this book exactly, but I can tell that it's history and probably a story of San Francisco. So I don't know. I really don't know what this book is going to be about, but for some reason I was drawn to it, and I will read it at some point because I like historical fiction and historical novels and stuff like that. History. I like history. We'll put it that way. Then I decided I need to go through these a little bit faster with this book, or else this video is going to be a very, very long one. But anyways, I decided to buy myself the Half Human Heroes fantasy anthology, edited by Jeremy Fee. This contains stories, it contains a foreword by Dr. Philip Chase, and then it contains stories by Mason Addy, P.M. Brown, Dane Cobain, Jeremy Fee, Jessica Haas, Liam Cutie Hall, S.D. Huston, Coupel, Joseph Kark, Margaret Pinard, and David Wiley. So a lot of these are booktubers. A lot of David Wiley, Jeremy Fee, and Liam Cutie Hall are good friends of mine on BookTube, so I just wanted to get this and support them, and I wanted to read it. And I haven't read it yet, but I fully expect that I'll really enjoy this once I do get there. And then I went to Barnes & Noble, and they had a buy one get one 50% off sale going on for some books, and these are ones that I've been thinking about for a long time. And so the first one is We by Yevgeny Zamyatin, which, if I remember correctly, is the chilling dystopian novel that influenced George Orwell while he was writing 1984. So it's basically a dystopian story, which I already like dystopian books, written by a Russian author, and that intrigues me. I am very curious as to how a Russian author would approach a dystopian novel, because they have a very different outlook on life than I do. So I'm excited to read this. I haven't gotten to it yet, but it's one that I want to sooner rather than later. And then the other book that I got is The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. This one, I don't know what it is about this book, but I've heard of it. I think Daniel Green talked about it at one point on his channel, but I've heard about this book, and I like unicorns, I like fantasy, it just sounded like something that I would need to read, and it sounds like it's one of those like classic fantasy stories. So I'll have to read this at some point. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I'm glad to have it, and buy one get one 50% off it's always a good thing. It's a good deal. Then this is one that I was sent by the author in exchange for an honest review, and I haven't read it yet, but this is a self-published book that is actually in the SPF B09. That is Rada by Tracy M. Joyce, Tales of Altakai, a companion series to the Chronicles of Altakai. This one, if I remember correctly, so Rada's newborn sister is disfigured and her father has decreed that her fate lies at the seat of the gods. Rada knows what that means. He wants her sister dead. So the father wants her sister dead. So this is, there's a whole lot more that this thing says, but I'm excited to read this one. I don't know when I'll get to it, but the author reached out to me and asked if I wanted to read it. I said, sure. I don't always say yes to books because I vet them a little bit before I say yes to them, but this is one that after talking to the author, I think that I probably will enjoy, and so I'm willing to give it a try, and this is, I'm always happy to support self-published authors if I can. Then I went to the, well, we'll do this one before I get to, oh no, this is right. I went to the bookstore and found Wizardborn, which is the third book of the Rune Lords by David Farland. I've actually, at this point, I've read all 8 of the books that are out in this series. Book 9, we're not sure if it will ever come out, and we hope that it does. I hope that it does. But I've been loving this series. I loved this series. I've finished it now, out with what's out. And I want all these nice hardcover editions. I don't know if this is a first edition hardcover or not. Let's see, there's that page. This is first edition, I believe. Copyright 2001, first edition, April 2001. So yeah, this is a first edition hardcover of Wizardborn by David Farland. I love this. I love the art on these books. The art is done by Darrell K. Sweet, and very much classic fantasy feel. The books are very much classic fantasy as well, and I just have really enjoyed the books. So I'm happy to have that one, even though I don't have all the books in hardcover yet. Then I found several more books. Is this all of them? Yeah, so I found several more books at that same, when I went to that bookstore at the same time, and one of them is C.S. Lewis, The Dark Tower and Other Stories. So I've been slowly collecting C.S. Lewis books because next year, is it next year? I think it's next year is what I have been tentatively calling a year of Lewis, meaning a year where I take some time and spend it reading Lewis's works besides Narnia, because Narnia and The Great Divorce are the only thing of his that I've read. So I want to read the Space Trilogy, and I want to read some of his other works as well. This is one of those ones that I found and I was like, oh, well, let's get that because I can. Then I found some more books. I found Winter's Heart, which is book, and it's covered up, book 9 of Wheel of Time, and Knife of Dreams, which is book 11. So more Wheel of Time books, and I like getting them in these mass market paperback books because I don't need them in hardcover because I don't love the series that much. But I do like the art. Again, who's the artist? Darrell K. Sweet art. Yeah, I like the cover art, even though some of it is a little bit corny, a little bit not the greatest art. I do like the art on these books, and I don't mind having them. I would like them all to be in a consistent style, and since I started getting them in this mass market paperback, I want that. I want to continue. So I was happy to find those because those are 2 that I don't have yet. There's very few that I don't have of the now. There's 4 maybe that I don't have in that. Anyways, continuing on. Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb. Is this the first book in the Mad Ship trilogy? Oh, this is the 3rd book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy. I don't think I have any of the other ones, but it was there. It's in the classic fantasy cover art style that I really like. I have the Farseer trilogy in this cover art style as well, so I wanted to stay consistent if I could possibly, and so I found this one. I was like, perfect, let's get that one as well. I haven't read any Robin Hobb yet. I will eventually. I don't know when that eventually will be though. And then the last, let's see, not the last ones, but then I received another book from another self-published author. This is Tribe of the Accord by Sean Michael Stone. This is one that is a prehistoric fantasy, and I don't know much about it other than that the author sent it to me, or reached out to me and asked if I wanted to read it, and I said sure. I want to say that this is a little bit more YA than adult fantasy, but prehistoric fantasy, really interesting. The cover's really pretty, so that also intrigues me. Pretty covers go a long ways to making me want to read a book, and I'm excited to read this whenever I get to it. I know that there's a video game and a comic or a manga or something like that. I think it's a comic that goes along with it, that the author is creating or writing at the same time in this world or in the series. So I kind of don't know a whole lot about this book, and I don't remember it because it's been a month or 2 months or 3 months or whatever now since I received the book, and even longer since I actually talked to the author about it. So I don't remember everything about this, but I do have that one too that I want to read when I get to it. The next one is The Elementals by Abby Latanzio. This is one by a not self-published, it is a small publishing, which is Curious Curls Publishing, and the editor, I think, of this publishing house publishing company reached out to me and asked if I would like to read and review this book, if I would like to receive this book in exchange for an honest review. I said yeah. Pretty cover, I mean, very pretty cover, very, very nice looking cover. I don't know how long it'll take me to get to this one. Again, I'm a slow physical reader. I don't mind if people ask me if I want to read and review their books, but I always tell them, I don't know when I'll get to this, I don't know how long it'll take me to get to this book. And so far they haven't had an issue with that. But I do plan to read this one eventually, and I think this is one that I'm going to kind of try and prioritize, because for some reason it's calling to me more than a lot of my other books are at the moment. So we will see if I get to that one sooner, but obviously the Elemental Magic. Let's read a little bit of the back. 4 lost princes, 1 corrupt uncle. It's a good start. Eastport, a place of former peace, has rapidly turned its back on natural power wielders known as elementals. Under the rule of domineering magistrate Rufus, elementals are subject to fates of imprisonment, death, and forced exposure to a mysterious substance known as Euskare. While the future continues to look grim for elementals, the ocean tides seem to have other plans. 4 brothers, united by royal blood and a shared goal of restoring the kingdom, must find a way to work together before it's too late. So that's a little bit about elementals. Pretty cover. I like elemental magic, so I'm excited to read that one at some point soon-ish, hopefully. Then recently I went back to the store, to the used bookstore, and found some more books. The first one of which, it wasn't the first one that I found, but is the one that was on the bottom of the pile because it's the biggest, is the Arthurian Encyclopedia. This is actually from the 80s, I want to say. So it's not modern, it's not up to date with all the stuff, all the Arthurian stuff that has been released since then, but it's just a resource for me to look through. Like, let's see, let's turn the page to a random page. We've got Constantine, Arthur's grandfather and Geoffrey of Monmouth, a prince of the offshoot of Britain, of the British kingdom in Armorica, given an unhistorically early foundation. He comes to Britain by invitation near the beginning of the 5th century. So it's basically just information on characters, on items, on settings, on places that are important to Arthurian literature in some way. I assume it includes like books and stories written by things. So just lots of information for use when I need some reference material for Arthurian anything that I might be doing in the future, maybe, possibly, or if anybody else has things that they are curious about. So just not something that's terribly readable, but it's a reference material that I am happy to have and will probably use. So then I also at the same time I found several other great things for me to own, and that is Out of the Silent Planet by C.S. Lewis, Paralandra by C.S. Lewis, and That Hideous Strength, also by C.S. Lewis. This is the Space Trilogy, and I'm very happy to find it because, for one, these are those vintage mass market paperback classics, which are really nice. I really like them, especially for things like Narnia, for Lewis books. For some reason that feels like the correct way to read a C.S. Lewis book to me. So I'm excited to have those. I don't know how long it'll take me to get to these, but I do plan on reading them next year. Lewis is his writing reads quickly, and so I don't expect them to take me very long to read once I actually start them. But that will be next year before I get to them for sure. Then I also found Camelot and Orbit by Arthur H. Landis. I have no idea what this book is about, but it says Camelot on it, which tells me it's Arthurian in some way. Let's read a little bit about this. Fomalhaut II was an inexplicable enigma in the annals of the Galactic Watchers, a world of knights and ladies, of dungeons and dragons. It was truly medieval and therefore out of bounds for science-armed Terrans. Yet, science seemed thwarted there, for magic really worked, and witchcraft baffled the secret watchers. Camelot was their name for it, and Kyrie Fern was their adjuster on its surface, a knight in truly shining armor, a champion of chivalry, and the only one who actually stood between the Arthurian natives and the alien being that menaced both their world and the advanced planets that swung unseen through their sky. Once again, Arthur H. Landis has worked the magic of combining the wonders of swords and sorcery with the science adventures of high space. So it's kind of like another science fiction Arthurian tale, and that intrigues me. So it will. I don't know where to put this book on my bookshelves, if this should go with my Arthurian bookshelves or with my science fiction bookshelves. Then I also got another translation of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. This one is translated by Bertrand Raphael. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight is like probably my favorite story I've ever read, and so I'm perfectly happy and excited to have more translations of this because I like reading new translations. So far Tolkien has been my favorite translation that I've read, but this is one of those ones that I'll read every translation that I can find. So that's what I found at that last trip. And then I've got a couple more these ones. So I've got Digitarum by Derek Bailey and Umbridge by Derek Bailey. Digitarum is the one book of his that I've read so far, and Umbridge is his newest release. He reached out to me, asked me if I would like to read and review them. I said yes. So he sent me a free copy of them, which is great. Digitarum I really liked, and as of the time of filming this, as of today, while filming this video, I earlier today filmed my review of Digitarum, so that will go up in the following weeks. I don't know how many weeks from now that will be, but I will be reviewing Digitarum pretty soon here, and then I will get to Umbridge when I can, and I'm excited to do that. I will insert a clip now here of me unboxing it because he did a really cool box of it. So I have received a package from Derek Bailey, the author of several books, and I know what's in this already, but I want to unwrap it anyways on camera because I think that's fun. Alright. Let's see what's in here. So we've got a nice card, looks like. Some stuff inside of it, a thank you note. So then we've got a bookmark here of Umbridge, which is this is the book cover. This is his newest book. And on the back, another image. Then we've got a little sticker here again. So let's open this up and see what's inside. Wrapped in paper, which is always nice. We've got nice. All right. See, is it going to come easy? It is. This is the first book mail I've had that's been wrapped in paper like this. All right, so first we've got Digitarum, which is the first book that I've read by him, and I really enjoyed. Signed copy. It's always fun to have signed copies of books. Very fun, short, fast-paced book. It's, how many pages is it? 100 and, oh, is it gonna pass 200? 195 with the about the author. So it's a very short book, but very fun book to listen to. Really just wild, the journey that you go on in this story. And then Umbridge is his newest book, which I have not yet read, but I'm very excited to. Let's see, again, signed. Some more artwork in it. Very cool. I'm excited for this, and I will for sure be reading this at some point because I really liked Digitarium and I've really liked my interactions with Derek Bailey so far. And then the last book that I have received recently is one that I actually just received yesterday, which yesterday being August 11th. And this is one that my friend Tori from Tori Talks sent me. This is the Wickwire Watch. This is one that she has really loved and that Kay from Kay's Hidden Shelf has really loved, and so basically people that I trust their opinions on really have liked this book, and I want to read it. It sounds very interesting to me. Tori pitched it kind of as, what was it? Oliver Twist meets Howl's Moving Castle. That's interesting to me. I don't know what that means or how that can work, but I'm very interested to see, and with as much as the people that I like and trust have seemed to enjoy this book, I want to see if I enjoy it as well. So that's the last one that I have received, and that we are now at the end of my book haul, which I just don't have a name for yet or an adjective for yet, but we will figure it out. Maybe I'll just call it the Adjective book haul or something like that. I don't know. Probably not. That's corny and stupid. And I'm going to wrap this up because I've been talking for 2.5 hours, or an hour and a half, I mean, maybe 2 hours now. And I'm tired of talking. So thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday, and our social media is linked in the description down below. We'll see you guys again soon. Stay well.